this session is around innovation. What I'm going to do, the flow will be, I'll just go through some of the things that are happening in the world of healthcare anyway that you'll be aware of, but just to start you thinking around things that are happening and where the opportunities and problems are, because that's where innovation is looking to solve problems or create better opportunities from that front. So it just kind of helps shape you think around it a little bit. Then we're going to do a little bit of a workshop piece, and you'll see these kind of good charts around, which Lauren's going to take us through. It's going to be around your thoughts as to where there may be some things and opportunities and ideas. And then, sorry, this is Lauren. And this is Dale. Hello. Dale gets the real kind of like the nice bit at the end with playing with the new toys and things. So he's going to just show you some of the technologies that are out there at the moment, which you might find interesting, and just spark some of the conversations around that. So I'll make us start. So. And Carol's with us from
I'll just add on.
And it looks like we've got a photographer in film today, so better mind your P's and Q's. Exactly. So I'm just going to look first of all what are happening macro-wise on the big picture wise within healthcare at the moment. These will all be familiar to you, but just looking at. So there's an emphasis, and has been for a while, obviously trying to move patients out of the hospital setting into the home care setting. Obviously costs less, people do better, all the things you know from that front. Chronic disease, obviously the demographics are changing so that the older and more sicker people, and therefore there's a growth in sickness, so to speak, and therefore more healthcare needs. Growth, particularly, we saw within COVID, that took a bit of an extra leap, but there's a big growth in virtual care services, so the telemedicine, so this world and other areas from that. We'll see something a little bit about that Dale's going to show you at the end as well. Again, you'll know that links to the demographics and the comorbidities, that there's an increase in patients of influence. So again, for Google, you'll know this, and they come along and say, oh, look online, and it says this, that, the other, etc. So that influence that patients have on their own care and their health service as well is growing. Data's a big one, so at the moment there's always talk that the NHS is sitting on a lot of rich data. It's just not easy to get to. It's not joined up, but there's a big drive to how we get better data ecosystems, because with data, and I'll reference a colleague of mine that talks about if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And so you need to have those benchmarks, so how you then move forward. The data tells you where the big problems are and where the kind of opportunities are. So there's a big drive for how do we collect that data into a better way to be able to make sense of it, to see where the opportunities are. There is a move, you may not feel this, in the health service toward how to prevent rather than treat in the first place. So there is a bit of a direction of travel which will happen more around that. You'll see that happening more. It probably won't feel like that, but it's certainly something we feel as an industry that is starting to take place. And obviously that has to happen because you can't afford to carry on treating the size it's getting at the moment, not with the resources. Evolution of payment methods, I guess that's more of, we see that happening in other countries. Reference things like the US with their private healthcare systems, with private insurance, other some of those models, the way they're looking at payment gets looked at here, but also other things. So rather than the traditional model of you paying for a treatment or paying for a product, there are much other ways, maybe it's outcome based, so other ways of looking around so different models looking at that. And that piece you'll definitely be familiar with, the limited clinical resource. So you'll know the numbers of nurses or healthcare professionals has been reducing for quite some time. And although the government will talk about investment, trying to create more kind of stuff, it doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. So that's going to be a challenge. So you start looking at some of these things whereby increased number of patients and influence, but limited resource to be able to manage those, it's not sustainable. So things have got to change in some way, form or other, and you kind of know it's not going to be, we're going to get loads more staff. It's going to have to be a little bit of things. So innovation, technology and digital will be one of those things that we looked at, how to help some of those problems. Look at some of the goals in the health system, the NHS. Again, that increased patient satisfaction. You see some of those metrics that are taking place now. Again, we can't get data ecosystems in place better. They'll make that much more intuitive. measuring the outcomes, you say at the moment, I guess a lot of metrics tend to be about having seen the caseload that day, or the sequence around assessment, but how to actually measure wounds improving. That should go in a direction of travel at some point. So again, technology will help in that part. Obviously, there's got to be a reduction in wound care management because that's there's too many things that are all pushing and straining the system at the moment. That again, that can help with innovation and digital. And again, you guys, but certainly this at the moment, you guys are in a bit. You will know this. You're in that crisis kind of stage whereby more and more leaving the industry, retiring, or just not for me. The stresses that puts on you in having to do more with less, big mental health, and that's recognised. So there will be things looking, how do we increase and how do we help and support that side of things. So these all join up. Again, the postcode loss rate, again, that's another driver, and how do we make sure it's kind of equal to all, regardless of geography or whatever from that. So there's a lot happening in that bigger picture bit, which is putting focus on it's not sustainable, it's got to change, and therefore looking for innovations to how that can happen. Because as I say, it's not going to be throwing more and more people on it, because that's not affordable either. So just putting out a few of those themes. So just putting out on where the drive towards is, as mentioned in the previous one, prevention, because one, that costs less, but obviously it's much better for the patient health system, so from that front. So, and there's lots of things that will help do that. Precision, again, with tools, whether it be apps or whatever from that front, but how do you get much better data in there that makes things in the next part much more predictable. So you can, there's a predictable part to be able to help prevent something in the first place, especially if you've got then the algorithms from the big data in there, you can start putting out the potential trends that are taking place with the individuals and areas. But it's got to happen that participate. You can't just have a system that just tells you anything. You've got to get everyone's buy-in from that point. And that shared care piece and patient shared care is also something that's happening. How do we get better ownership of their own care and input, engagement? So the group is saying, so it's not a case of, hey, here's my leg, just give me that kind of pretty much when you're finished with it. Actually, you've got to have some input in there, because again, the resources are limited and they need to do more they've got to be able to look after themselves. I know it's easier said than done, but these are some of the factors going on to drive this. I'm now going to hand over to Lauren, who's going to the next section.
Thank you very much. So I come from a clinical background and wanted to look at what a patient's journey might look like, and where this innovation, where we can use technology to support every element of that patient's journey. So try to simplify it as much as possible. So obviously most patients with a leg ulcer will either get an injury, which starts their leg ulcer journey all rolling, doesn't it? Or through unmanaged conditions, they'll present with a leg ulcer. So they start with an injury of some sort. They're then seen and have an assessment. A treatment plan and management plan should be put in place, and then obviously that will continue for however long that patient's journey is. And then we will go on to prevention. So what are those prevention measures that we're putting in place? I know the patients don't always do it. And then reviewing that patient as per your local guidance. Now, ideally, the patient's journey stops there, but we know 9 times out of 10, they will knock the leg on the trolley, the car door, and they're back on the books again, and that whole process starts again. So what we're going to do now, you'll see there's one by Mike, one on the window there, and one behind you. If we split into rows, there's also some post-it notes, please don't steal them. Just want you to have a think as big as you can, or as small as you can, of some technology, innovations. It might not exist, it might exist, around these different points where it might help you or the patient within this journey. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we'll have about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll come back and regroup, if that's all right?